Do you envision any new powerful markets emerging outside of those major ones, like maybe somebody like India or Vietnam or Africa or something like that?
Yeah. India will be a player very soon. They have more citizens now than China. They just passed them.
Wow.
So I think, and then even if you have just something like a quarter of all Indians being able to buy a car in the near future, it's still a market of 250, 300,000.
Yeah.
250 million, 300 million people. And that will drive a lot. And I personally very much believe in Africa. I mean, it's a growing number of people living there. I mean, we see Africa as the poor, as the suffering, as there's a lot of war and poverty and hunger down there, which is true for a small amount of people and small number of countries in Africa. But they have a growing network of entrepreneurs. They have a growing network of smart people, of technology-oriented people. And they have a totally different way of thinking. And if you have a look at how Africa introduced telecommunication, I mean, they totally dropped the landline thing. They never had a landline there. They jumped right, I say from drumming, from communication by drumming, they jumped right into the smartphone age.
Wow.
So they dropped landline, and they will do the same with cars. Yeah, so they will jump right into new business models, into new technologies, into new vehicle concepts. And so I can talk about this because I have one client from Africa who's thinking exactly that way.
Really?
Says, okay, for a very long time in Africa, you will not, or many people will not be able to own an own car, but they will be able to buy mobility. And why not moving that? Why not using that upcoming wealth that we have here to create a specific African model of mobility with specific African vehicles, however they may look like. Yeah, and if you have a look at how in Africa it works at the moment, I mean, if you want to take a bus and a long-haul bus in Africa, you go to the bus station, and then there are 20 buses lined up, and nobody knows which bus goes where. So you have to ask the driver, hey, are you the bus to Pretoria? Are you the bus to Port Elizabeth? And then somebody says yes. And then you get on the bus, and the bus leaves when the bus is full. That maybe in 20 minutes is maybe in 20 hours.
Yeah.
And to get out of this, there's a strong need in Africa to get out of this and say, hey, I have my personal freedom, I have my personal mobility, and I have some personal money that I can spend on this. Yeah. And so I very much believe, I mean, this will not happen in 5 or 10 years, but if you ask me for the mid and long term time range, I think India and Africa, they are the ones that will move forward.
Wow. And that'll be culturally influenced too, just as China has different cultural influences on vehicles.
Yes, of course. And I mean, China is very aggressive in Africa. We know it from infrastructure projects like streets and airports and ports and everything. And I mean, why shouldn't they do the same with cars? I mean, there's no question about this. They're super smart in doing that.